Shalom, welcome back. Now we're going to be doing lesson number 14. And let's begin. Ki tishmor, when you will keep, et is the direct object marker. Kol ha-mitzvah, all of the commandment. Hazot, all of this commandment. Lasota, to perform it. So here in lesson 14, we obviously see we got a larger sentence here, and let's start by breaking these things down. Okay? Ki is when. Now, a lot of Bibles, they will translate this incorrectly as the word if. But however, we have a problem here. Ki does not mean if. If we were to say if, this here would have to be the word im. This is the word if in Hebrew, okay? It's not ki. So we have to understand the differentiation between if and when. Ki, when. Tishmor. So here we see that this is a verb that's in the future tense. We have the pronoun in front. So here we have our pronoun. And then afterwards we have our three root letters. Shen, Mem, and Resh, which is the word shamar, which means to guard or keep. So when you will guard, so it's talking about a you, this is the you singular. When you will guard, et, so we know that when we see et, this is what we call the direct object marker, okay? Et does not have any translational value, but it's always required when you have an object that's a definite object in the sentence. So here is, what is he going to keep? So when, here we will say, let's change this back here, okay. You will keep. Alright? So one thing we have to remember in Hebrew, the future tense and the past tense have the ability of expressing desire. For example, you could say tishmor, which means you should keep, okay? Or you could say tishmor is you want to keep, okay? Or you can say, as we see here, tishmor, you will. Future tense we're utilizing, so we're keeping this in context. So you will keep et kol. Kol is the noun, that means all. Kol ha-mitzvah. So ha-mitzvah is the entire commandment. Okay? The entire or all of, okay? That's why we said all of the commandment. So let me get back here. All of the commandment. Kol ha-mitzvah hazot. Okay? Here we have kol ha-mitzvah. This is our noun construct, so we have to look at this from his point of view. That when we're looking at the word kol ha-mitzvah, we have the absolute. We have the absolute noun here at the end, and here we have the construct. So kol begins the noun construct, and ha-mitzvah finishes the absolute form. And of course, the last thing we have over here is hazot, which is our pronoun. And this pronoun is what we have, this is the descriptive pronoun, okay? So it's telling us by pointing to something, so hazot is this. So in this case we see the fact that we finish the actual noun construct in essence with the word hazot at the end, but the main part of it is kol ha-mitzvah. Okay? So hazot we find here, this, because it's a descriptive pronoun, the definite state, although it's placed in front of ha, and we see the definite article in front of mitzvah, we don't regard this as a translation of the this. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. It just has to be understood that the definite state of it is present with the word zot. Okay? So, ki when tishmaru, you will keep et kol ha-mitzvah, all of the commandment. So it's the entire commandment. Hazot, so all of this commandment. So he's very specific in relationship to what he's referring to. La'asota. Okay? So here we have a issue where we have la'asot, and this is what we call an infinitive. What is an infinitive? An infinitive is a verb that is an ongoing action verb. Okay? And this infinitive is coming from the root Ein Samek He, the word asa. If we were to go to the root that deals with the third He, we'll find that these always end in ot when we're dealing with the infinitive form. For example, if I take bet nun He, bana, we're going to see banot. That's how it will come out in the infinitive form. When we add the lamed, we see leave not. Okay? If I take kaf nun hey and I take the bet off and replace it with the kaf, it's lik not. Because we have a guttural, that's why we have the sound here. We have the kamatz kataf and the kamatz, and so we're saying sot. So this is important to understand how the infinitives with the third A work in relationship to why is it that this will look different. It's only because the guttural is here. We have to account the sound for the vowel for the guttural. And of course, we see if we use bana, kana, or any other hey verb, okay, we're going to see the same form. Lik not, ba not, la asot. It's going to be the ot. So we're going to find the hey drops off and the vav and the tav end up. However, we have something very special with regard to this, okay? And that is, at the end, we have an objective pronoun. So here we have objective pronoun. La'asota. Okay? Why do we need to understand something right now with about this that I'm going to focus on is very important because this deals with all those grammatical rules I was telling you about. The Torah says, Ki tishmor et kol mitzvah. You shall keep all of the commandment. Hazot, this commandment. La'asot, to do. Now we have a problem, and the grammatical problem we have here is the fact that we do not attach objective pronouns to infinitive verbs. Okay? We do not attach objective pronouns to infinitive verbs. That means to say is that this here, in truth, should be written as this, ota, okay, which is the definite direct marker with its pronoun feminine ending ha, okay. So the grammar of it is, even though we translate it, when you will keep all this commandment to perform it, we find that the hey here is being translated as the objective pronoun ota, but the defective status of it tells us there's something wrong grammatically with regard to what's being written here. And like I said, there's always reasons for why we have the things that we have within grammar. And it's very important that we understand the fact that, grammar, if we don't memorize these rules and say that objective pronouns are not to be attached to infinitives, or that we don't learn about, like last time where I sat there and we pointed out the fact that prepositions, that a lamed preposition by itself without its normal case of el or al, that, and if it doesn't function under the category of being a preposition which we would use in the case of a verb that is a verb of action, such as movement or speech, that we only use el with verbs of speech and movement, that in the case of the lamed how we had to point out that the lamed is incorrect. It's grammatically incorrect, it's defective, and the same thing would apply here. This, we would call this state defective in regard to how it is written. I added the vav here. I know the book doesn't have the vav with regard to la'asota, so that also is important to know, because we're talking about how do you write these forms out completely and accurately and correctly, so that you can know for yourself when you're writing out this. That's why I wrote down here the example of it, that you would have literally your two root letters, which would be obviously the first and the second root letter, and then after it would just become the word, the sound ot, because any hey ending we take ot when we put it in the infinitive form. And so you have bana livnot, kana liknot, okay? Whereas here, asa la'asot, and that's what we'd find. So it's very important to know how to identify the grammatical points that we're going to be seeing here. As we move along in the chapter, we're going to be focusing on the fact of more and more things we will look at with grammar, how it works, what we use, how we utilize certain things in grammar. Like this one, when we focused on the fact that ki is never meaning if. If they translate it as if in your Bibles, if you're trying to translate and you're going back and you're seeing, oh yeah, they translate it as if, you have to understand that means that somebody's changing ki to meaning im. It's not incorrect to do this, because if we're trying to figure out the context of the sentence, and it makes sense that you would use im as well rather than ki, you have to understand we're changing ki to im, and we're making it, if it says im, that this follows the context. Translation is one of those things that you find that it's all about interpretation when we're going through Torah, we're going through Hebrew. It's not a plain, you take the text, you write it, you translate it, there you go, it's finished, it's beautiful. There's a lot of interpretation that goes into Hebrew, especially what do we express this to say? Why does it say this? It should have said that. And these are all the questions that come about when we're looking at Hebrew, and we're looking at how Hebrew functions in relationship. I want to remind also, there's a segment in here that deals with regard to the Hey directive. I've already made a video with regard to Hey directive, and if you want to check out the link, go to the segment which deals with the subject of the Hey directive. You'll find it in the nouns. It will actually go in more depth with regard to the Hey directive. And it actually will tell you really how Hey directive functions and works, and in order to really understand why do we use the Hey directive, in what cases can it be used, and so forth. I look forward to seeing you next time as we go on to learning chapter 15, and as we grow and understand more of biblical Hebrew and understand grammar. I'll see you around.